What's up, guys and girls? Talk a little bit about the 80s music, about Joe Satriani and Kurt Hammett talking to each other. Uh, One thing, there's always been something special about San Francisco Bay Area music scene, where there's an emphasis on the unique. In San Francisco, people go out of their way not to be what you'd expect. From the freak executives to Exodus, Sea Hags, and Beatnik Beach Testament, and Faith No More, to Kirk Hammett and Joe Satriani, the spirit of the unexpected reigns supreme under the shadow of Golden Gate. In this spirit, we ushered in our favorite left coast teacher and student for a gab session in the listening room. And you want to know what this gab session sounded like? All right. Okay. Okay. I guess his name is Bijou Pleasurette from Michael Schenker Group by Michael Schenker Chrysalius. Joe says, in a couple of places it seemed like it's one note away from the best note. Kirk says, that's classic Schenker. Right when he did the last UFO album and the first two MSG albums in that particular period, I thought Schenker was playing his most melodic. He was a huge influence on me with his energy and phrasing. Go. Kirk Hammett, a huge influence on him. Was Schenker, melodic playing. UFO Stranger in the Night had a major impact on me when I was younger. I thought, wow, there's all his outrageous guitar. It was quintessential. It was quintessential. Okay, so Joe says, do you know the song Lost Horizon? The solo at the end of that is inspiring to me because it sounds like the loosest thing I've ever heard, and yet it has such total impact. The whole band is kind of going crazy. They get more and more out of their Simon Phillips takes more liberties on the drums as the song progresses. He goes on to say, the tone of Schenker's group is not distorted, yet it does things that a distorted guitar would do. It has the ultimate sustain. That tone is so beautiful. It's so tubular sounding. It goes through a couple of different key changes and plays a little bit of the blues, not blues, minor, not minor, a major third. Then he gets out of it as the song fades out. He goes absolutely bananas. It's the it's the upper of what rock guitar is, and he's doing it right there at the end of those blues influences leading up to completely outside thing. That's all is my head a lot. That song, that's all is in my head a lot when I think about guitar. That's pretty cool. Fire from Are You Experienced by Jimi Hendrix. Experience reprise. Joe says, Joe Satriani says, Hendrix was my model on a number of levels. He was still in number one. He had a killer rock sound, unless he was going out of his way to be weird, like in 1983, or third stone from the sun. He had a great sensibility from short songs, and when he stretched, there was never any excuses in my mind. It was all perfectly long. His tone quality on records changed to fit the song. His rhythm playing was always excellent, impeccable. He pushed recording to the limit. Now, when you listen to Are You Experienced, it sounds a bit less than huge, but there are so many great things in there for me. From a guitarist's point of view, he never let any of his songs sacrifice. He always rode to the occasion. And Kirk goes on and says, all right, Jimmy was very song oriented. He sounded like the song came first. Even though he was a great soloist, he always sounded like the song wasn't just a showcase for his soloing. I think he was foremost a songwriter. I don't like listening to a guitar player who don't have sense of melody in their playing. I like catchy parts. Me too. Alright. And then he says, Tube Snake Boogie from Al Loco by ZZ Top, Warner Brothers. Joe says, I love ZZ Top. I always have, even though I don't have very many top records. Every time I hear this stuff, I hear great ideas behind their songs. The way they approach the key changes, where they put solos, how long they are, the ensemble parts, the subjects get to me. It's funny, yet it's serious. And the guitar playing is never excessive. The sense of rhythm is always there. All my chromosomes stand on end when I play boogie. Kurt says, all right. When I started playing guitar, I was under the influence of my older brother and his album collection, which consisted of stuff like Cream, Zeppelin, and Hendrix. When I read interviews, they'd always talk about older blues people and play for a while. When I started playing, I was playing shuffles and boogie stuff. Then I discovered ZZ Top and Leonard Skinner. And for 2 years straight, that's all I would listen to. Heavy metal has a lot to do with the blues. It does, I guess. Alright, and here's some more. Guitar. Have you ever heard Megadeth do Jeff Beck's version of Ain't Superstitious? Kurt says, no, but I would do covers of Jeff Beck's covers. Let Me Love You Baby was the first guitar solo I ever tried to figure out. I played it horribly. Joe said, I've been wanting to do a cover version of Percy Sledge's tune, When a Man Loves a Woman. When a man loves a woman. Okay, Kurt says, the melody makes me want to cry. The chord progression is just right to me. The basis of a good song is that feel that moves you in some way. Oh, yeah. Joe says, another song like that for me is Aretha Franklin's A Natural Woman. That just oozes. I've thought about how great it would be to be that personally with your instrument without getting into the music area. To be that dynamic. Both of those songs are already are really sparse. A couple of little meditations here and there with the strings, but basically it's a chord progression with a very light rhythm section behind it. And this one voice just slaying you. One of these days I'm going to do Jethro Tull's Nothing Is Easy or New Days Yesterday. Kurt says, I think Metallica could play like that. It would have to be a heavy part. Joe can put anything into it, and it'll still be Joe Satriani. He could put out Georgiana Monk's chanting. Joe says, that gives me an idea. Georgiana Monk's chanting, when a man loves a woman. Alright. Quadrant 4 from Spectrum by Billy Cobham Atlantic. Tommy Bolin on guitar. Kirk says, that's great. I've never heard this before. Joe says, Bolin came out amongst all this fusion stuff and just stuck it. There are the notes that we talk about getting into the prime position. He just came out, no subtleties whatsoever. Kurt says, the only time I've heard Tommy Bolin before was when I was in Denmark staying with a friend who had all these videos. He had a video of Deep Purple in Japan with Tommy Bolin, which was right at the period when Bolin screwed up his arm and he was partially paralyzed. He was playing the most awful licks after that. I never thought he was anything like this. You don't remember? I'll Never Forget from Trilogy by Yngwie Malmsteen? Polydor just said, excellent, always inspiring. Yngwie is he's fantastic. He's far better than anyone who tries to sound like him. He has amazing intonations, beautiful vibrato, and my personal desire when I hear guitar players is to have a vibrato like that. The type of sensitivity where it can be non-existent, extremely wide, and loose. And Cart says, John Syke has a really good vibrato too. Joe. Yngwie's also sexy like George Lynch. He has a very sexy sound and incredibly dynamic. He always puts it off. I'll never feel that. He's not going to do what he's doing. The mix of his teaching technique and his timba is another super plus that puts him over the top and above so many other players. Kurt says, he started it, he'll end it. Alright? And it's pretty cool. I mean, I have all these interviews and I hope you like them. I'm trying to talk them, read them as good as I can. I hope you're enjoying it. So, Joe says, Yngwie's about him being sexy, and George Lynch, he has a very sexy sound, incredibly dynamic. He always puts it off. I'll never feel that. He's not going to do what he's doing. The mix of his technique and his timbre is another super plus that puts him over the top and above so many other players. Kirk said, he started and he'll end it. Bridge Over Troubled Water from Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel, Columbia. Kirk says, Lars, James, and I are big fans of Simon and Garfunkel. Joe said, don't you love Homeward Bound? Homeward Bound. Silent Night and the Boxer. Kurt said, Bridge Over Troubled Water is huge. This huge epic thing we use to put this in our tour bus and relax. It has an ability to move me as a listener. It has integrity and feeling. It's well constructed, unique. Joe says, I respond to the voices and the sound of the recordings. Their voices weren't big. They were kind of quivery. And Kurt says, vulnerable. Joe says, yes. And behind them were these exploding sounds and lots of reverb. It was very dreamlike, like a sound that's inside your head. I always thought that harmonies were both harmonies. They weren't were harmonies, and they were more visceral, good for the body. Visceral, good for the body. Kurt said, they didn't sound like they were worked out too much in advance. Joe says, they changed a lot. They used a lot of variety in their approaches. Paul Simon is an excellent guitarist. I like his choice of what to play and how to play it. Whoever produced those records were inspired. All right. So it's going to be a minute before I find the rest of it. It's pretty cool. I have a lot of books with a lot of interviews. And, so this is another one that I'm looking at right now. Another interview. But I should have had it ready. I didn't have it ready. This is unfortunate. I mean, it couldn't have ended there, right? It might have ended there. There's some cool music on this book. This guitar player book. This is from some guitar of the 90s. I mean, that was an interview. Well, till next time. I'll have an interview. That was kind of interesting. I'll get some better stuff. I have to be more prepared. It was very late and I wanted to go to bed. So, hope you enjoyed the 20 minutes of an interview. Bye. Kelly. Like me on YouTube. I'm gonna get better and better stuff. Play a little. I'm not that great of a guitar player. I used to play a lot of Metallica. No, I'm more into the acoustic and make things my own way. I want to start a band. Um, I want to start playing my own music and get out there. I just like it, and I thought this was a cool idea. So I have like 30, 40 magazines that I bought over the years, and I'll come on and find another great interview from the 80s and 90s. Alright, love you. Bye.